Hey everyone, Tim Hill here, your friendly BC registered mortgage broker, helping folks just like you navigate the wild world of home loans from Vancouver to Victoria. If you're glued to your screen right now, it's probably because the ink's barely dry on Canada's latest federal budget, dropped just 2 days ago on November 4th, 2025. And let me tell you, this one's a beast. Under Prime Minister Mark Carney's watch, it's packed with promises to build us stronger, counter those nasty US tariffs, and, fingers crossed, get more roofs over Canadian heads. But before we dive in, picture this. You're scrolling Zillow late at night, dreaming of that starter home in Kelowna, when bam, budget news hits, and suddenly affordability feels a tad less impossible. That's the vibe we're unpacking today. In the next 15 minutes, I'll give you a no-fluff summary, my take on how it'll jolt the economy, and zero in on what it means for the housing market and those mortgage rates we all obsess over. As a broker who's seen rates swing like a pendulum, I'll keep it real. No crystal ball, just straight insights to empower your next move. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button. We're all about demystifying mortgages without the jargon overload. All right, let's roll. First off, a lightning round summary, so you don't need a finance degree to keep up. This budget, officially titled Building Canada Strong, is all about resilience in a world that's throwing curveballs like higher US tariffs and global trade jitters. The government's projecting a deficit around 2.5% of GDP this year, which means more borrowing to fuel the fire, but they're swearing it'll shrink over time through smarter spending cuts and a shiny new capital budgeting framework. Think of it as separating the must-build stuff, like bridges and homes, from everyday ops to avoid waste. Key pillars? They've allocated 42% of the pie to beefing up our sovereignty. Hello, boosted defense spending, and a defense industrial strategy to onshore more manufacturing. Another 36% goes straight to slashing costs for everyday Canadians. Tax tweaks for middle-class families. Incentives for first-time homebuyers. And no nasty cuts to those hard-won social programs from the Trudeau era. Oh, and they're launching the One Canadian Economy Act to smash internal trade barriers. Stuff that's supposedly costing us up to $200 billion a year in lost efficiency. Plus, big bets on productivity. A productivity super deduction for businesses, reskilling for 50,000 workers, and trade diversification into Asia, the EU, and Mexico to dodge over-reliance on our southern neighbor. On the green front, there is a climate competitiveness strategy tying clean tech to jobs. And for innovators, they're jacking up R&D spending limits. Youth get a shout out too. Programs to boost employment and streamline access to the Canada Disability Benefit. Overall, it's an $89.7 billion net spend over 5 years, aiming to spark $500 billion in private investment. Ambitious? You bet. But in a year where our GDP growth's dialed back to about 1.1%, thanks to export dips, it's a shot in the arm we desperately need. Whew, that's the bird's eye view. Now, let's zoom out to the economy at large. Because as your broker, I know a rising tide lifts all boats. But the opposite is also true. So, how does this budget ripple through the broader Canadian economy? In my view, it's a double-edged sword, bold moves to ignite growth, but with some fiscal heavy lifting that could keep inflation watchers on edge. Positively, this thing's laser-focused on productivity, the Achilles heel that's kept our per capita income lagging G7 peers, by funneling billions into infrastructure, $315 billion total, industrial programs, $270 billion, and tax incentives for R&D, and expensing, they're betting on a multiplier effect. We're talking $500 billion in private cash flowing in over 5 years, potentially juicing GDP by up to 3.5% by 2030. That's no small potatoes. It could mean higher wages outpacing inflation, more jobs in high-tech sectors like AI and clean energy, and a buffer against those US tariffs averaging 17%. Yikes. Up from a comfy 2%. Unemployment's ticking up to around 7%, especially in trade-hit spots like auto manufacturing, but reskilling packages and a digital jobs platform could flip that script, getting folks back to work faster. On the flip side, that widened deficit, up over 100% from last year, means more government bonds hitting the market. In theory, that could nudge borrowing costs higher if investors get jittery, but the budget's expenditure review clause back $13 billion annually in savings, showing fiscal discipline. Inflation's humming at a tame 2.4%, within the bank's sweet spot, so we're not staring down a wage price spiral. Globally, Canada's poised for the second fastest G7 growth in 2026 to 2027, per the IMF, thanks to our energy exports holding steady amid the chaos. From where I sit in BC, where tourism and tech are lifelines, this diversification push feels spot on. It could stabilize supply chains, ease price pressures on everything from groceries to gadgets, and foster that unified economy vibe. Bottom line, short-term pain from tariffs might sting, but these investments could pave a path to sustainable 2% plus growth. As a broker, I'm optimistic. Stronger economy means more homebuyers, with steady paychecks. Now, the part that gets my mortgage heart racing, the housing market. Folks, if you're in BC, like me, dodging those sky-high Vancouver prices, this budget screams affordability offensive. They've heard our cries. Enter Build Canada Homes, a new agency tasked with doubling home construction over the next decade. How? By supercharging modular and mass timber builds, cutting timelines by half, costs by 20%, and even emissions by 20%. Backed by low-cost federal financing, rental incentives, and red tape slashing, it's paired with $130 billion in housing-specific investments. We're talking faster permitting, workforce training for builders, and infrastructure to unlock shovel-ready sites. Housing starts are already perking up, averaging over 277,000 units recently, the highest since 2021, with more rentals coming online and rents dipping 3%. For buyers, sweet relief. GST zeroed out on first-time homes up to $1 million. That's a 40,000-ish break in high-cost provinces like ours, and they're tweaking mortgage rules to ease access, though details are still unfolding. Immigration's getting a reality check too, stabilizing population growth by trimming temporary residents to under 5% by 2027, which should cool demand without gutting our labor force. What does this mean for the market? In BC, where inventory's tighter than a drum, expect a supply surge to temper price frenzy. Nationally, it could add hundreds of thousands of units, boosting affordability indices that have been in the red. Sales might rebound as confidence builds, especially with youth employment ramps. But it's not all roses. Construction lags could delay the wins, and regional tweaks, shout out to provincial alignment, will matter. As a broker, I'm thrilled. More homes mean more clients closing deals without that pit and stomach stress. If you're eyeing a move, this could be your green light. Speaking of stress, let's talk mortgage interest rates, the elephant in every homebuyer's room. I won't bore you with today's numbers, Markets move fast, and I'm not here to play pundit. Instead, let's chat generally. How might this budget sway the rates you'll lock in? Right now, the Bank of Canada has been easing policy to combat slowdowns, creating a supportive backdrop where lower benchmark rates trickle down to fixed and variable mortgages alike. This budget reinforces that by signaling fiscal confidence. Those productivity boosts and trade shields could foster steady growth without overheating inflation. In a best case, it keeps the bank's foot on the easing pedal, holding rates in that comfortable, below neutral zone that makes monthly payments more bite-sized. But here's the nuance. Higher deficits mean more debt issuance, which could subtly firm up bond yields, the benchmark for fixed rates. If investors demand a premium for all that borrowing, we might see stickier long-term rates. On the flip, if the investments deliver quick wins, like job gains curbing unemployment, expect downward pressure as the economy hums without wage spirals. Variables tied to short-term policy could benefit most from any further cuts, while fixed might stabilize as yields normalize. For examples, imagine you're qualifying for a $500,000 mortgage. A general dip in rates could shave thousands off your lifetime interest, freeing cash for renos or that BC family road trip. Or, if yields tick up mildly, it underscores the value of locking in soon. My advice? Shop around. Rates vary by lender, and factor in stress tests. This budget tilts positive for borrowers, potentially extending that buyer's window we've enjoyed post-peak hikes. Wrapping this up, the 2025 budget isn't perfect. The deficit is really going to hurt in the long run, but it's a proactive playbook for a tougher world, with housing and growth at its core. For the economy, it's fuel for resilience, for your home hunt, a supply lifeline, and for mortgages, a nudge toward affordability. If you're in BC and this sparked questions, maybe pre-approving before rates shift, hit me up for a free chat. Links in the description. What's your biggest takeaway? Comment below. Team optimist or cautious observer? Like, share if it helped, and I'll catch you next time with more mortgage magic. Tim Hill out. Stay savvy, Canada.